Hi guys and welcome to my channel. I just want to talk to you guys today about Mr. Big Stuff. Who do you think you are, Mr. Mr. Big? That's usually, we all have a Mr. Big, don't we? We all have, and that's obviously, everyone has seen Sex in the City, girls, so we all know what I'm talking about. But I was sort of reflecting on that the other day, and I was thinking, I really want to talk about this because I don't know about you, but hands up if you have your own Mr. Big. And by definition, that is the guy that you totally 100% fell in love with. Like, you loved him, you fell for him, you didn't think you would, and you did. And every girl has that guy that she's stuck on. That guy that even if he came back to you 20 years later, you're married with like 100 kids, and he walks into the room like it feels like yesterday. Yeah. And he was the guy who was emotionally unavailable at the time, and no matter what you did, no matter how much you loved him up, no matter how much you gave him, no matter how much you made yourself available, he just sort of wasn't into you like that, and maybe he hurt you, met some other person, cheated on you, did something. But for some reason, even if you're that girl that's like, hell no, nobody cheats on me and survives, lives to tell the tale, for some reason, you would forgive him every single time. And if he hadn't left, you would have probably just turned a blind eye to that. And it's one of those bittersweet loves. It's one of those bittersweet things. And I think it's the bitterness and the sweetness that goes with it that sort of gets addictive, because it's the whole salt sugar thing, and getting the right amount of salt and right amount of sugar to make something moreish. And I think every girl who's lived long enough will say that they have had their own Mr. Big. And one of the things is, getting you're obsessed for such a long time with how you can get him back. And I just want to talk about getting the ex back. And it could be just some ex, or it could be Mr. Big. And for the first time in my life, I had a Mr. Big. I met this guy online, and he was sort of annoying me, to be honest. And I remember sort of he kept saying, oh, when are we going to meet? And when are we going to meet? And I've got my kids this week, and can we meet next week? And I was thinking, I don't even care. You're not even like pretty, and like, why do I care? Like, I was so not interested. And I remember sort of saying to him, okay, we'll meet up, whatever. And I thought I'll choose a pub around the corner so that I'll meet with him for like half an hour, be nice, because I used to sort of charity date is what I used to call it, like go out with guys I didn't fancy because I felt sorry for them. So anyway, I sort of was planning a bit of a charity date for him, like just boost his ego and give him some encouragement, but sort of do a runner straight after. I know it's silly. Maybe I'll do a video on charity dating, because I'm sure if I was doing it, so many other girls are doing it. And I remember sort of really feeling ill on the day that I was going to meet him as well, so poorly. I had a horrible cold. I just felt awful. And when you feel awful, you just don't want to go on a date. But I had he'd been waiting for so long, and I knew that his schedule was a bit funny. And I remember sort of coming out of the train station, because he was waiting for me outside the train station. And I remember sort of walking towards his car, because we'd sort of been texting, because I'd got on the wrong train and was sort of texting, and I was like, oh, I want a burger, and I was really kind of like, being myself, because I didn't think I'd fancy him or be interested. And I remember sort of he was waiting for me, and I got into his car, and I took one look at him, and that was it. Like, and he said hello, and he had this sort of Welsh accent. And I was like, this is it. Like, it had never happened to me before, but and I think it's a very spiritual thing when that happens as well, is somehow when that other person, there is something. He hadn't said a word, but I just thought, I'm gonna fall in love with you. And there wasn't anything particularly special about the date, but there was such a connection between us. It's like I'd known him all my life. And so obviously, long story short story long, was a very long-winded relationship that sometimes got serious, sometimes didn't exist. But I think in my head it was a relationship, and very much the same as Carrie Bradshaw's story with Mr. Big. That constant, what is going on, confusion, and really trying to get yourself together. And I remember finally deciding that I didn't want to be in love with him anymore. Like, I was done being in love with him. So, and I don't think you can ever really truly be done, but we got to the end of the road, you know. You know, one of the things I learned is I tried to get him back, and I bought some programs, Get the Ex Back, and I never used that program, but I remember recommending it to a friend of mine who did, and she was dealing with her own Mr. Big, and the program worked beautifully. It's written by Michael Fiore. Go check it out. It really does work. If you want your ex back, that's the program you need to get your hands on. You know, he's not paying me to say this. I wish he was, but he ain't. You know, it's really good. So I sort of recommended it to her, and I've had it on me forever, but I just always had an issue with getting the ex back. And, you know, she's happy, she's got her man back, and, you know, they're doing good. But I also observed something when I sort of watched them together, is that it's very much still on his terms. It's still very much on his terms, not on her terms. And one of the things I've realized is, and even when you watch Sex and the City and you watch Mr. Big and Carrie, it's still on his terms. It's still about what he wants. It's still about what he prefers. He's, you know, and you just get the sense that Carrie's still trying to always fit and win him over, and, you know, and it's that kind of feeling. And, you know, what I wanted to share today was that, you know, I think ultimately if you are stuck on a guy like that, and you do have that Mr. Big, and you're just done being in love with that person, I think you need to ask yourself a few questions that I asked myself. One of which was, would you rather, you know, choose to be alone or unhappy? You know, your choices sometimes are not have him and be okay, or have him and constantly be unhappy, because that person can never give you what you truly need. They can't give that to you. And realizing too that if they do come back, is it gonna be on my terms? Is it gonna be for what I want? Because, you know, I have always, like I've always said in my videos, I've always dated to find a life partner, to find a husband, to find somebody who would be long term. And I know that if I'd used that program, I may have very much got him back into my space and into my life, but I don't know. And I'm pretty much convinced that it would have not been on my terms. It would have been still sent, because the thing is, the guy or the ex can always feel the energy, because energy is one of those things that you can't hide. You know, you can't hide that I love you so much energy. Even if you play cool, there's something that will sell you out. That's your energy. That's your unspoken energy. And the moment somebody feels like they have you, especially when they come back to you after they left, if they left you and then they come back and you embraced them and you took them back and you started this relationship again, because you want them so much, you're constantly giving up pieces of your soul to keep them, because you've lost them. You know what it feels like to have lost them. You don't want to be there again, so you compromise. You compromise on your needs, you compromise on your desires. And I remember speaking to this friend of mine, and she so wanted to have children, so wanted to get married, and because the whole sort of Mr. Big situation was draining and took so much out of her. I spoke to her recently. She was like, you know, I don't think I'm gonna have children anymore. I'm too old. And I knew that that was not her heart. I knew that that's not her truth. But it's the sacrifice you make for Mr. Big. You know, it's to have you. I will sacrifice other things, and I don't even realize I'm doing them. It's all happening on a subconscious level, because I want you in my life so much, and I don't want to lose you again. So for me, my sort of take on it is, there's a reason somebody is your ex. There's a reason why they left your life. There's a reason. And unless they independently, without your manipulation, without you reaching out, without you playing any games, unless they come from where they are and say, you know what, I made a huge mistake. And even then, I would really take my time to really evaluate if they know what the mistake was. Because, you know, a friend of mine once said to me, you know, when her guy came back, when her Mr. Big came back, and, you know, she asked him a question that I thought was really profound. And she said to him, look, I am still the same girl. What has changed? You know, like, what's changed for you? Why are you coming back? I am still the same girl. I am still the same woman. I still have whatever it is that made you run. It hasn't changed. It's still here. And it was so powerful, because that was taking her power back. And I don't think any woman should be in a relationship where she needs the guy more. I think it should always be the other way around, or exactly the same. I think that if you find yourself in a situation where you just love that person more than you know, evidently your friends can see that that person doesn't care for you as much as you care for them, I think you're always going to be treading on dangerous waters emotionally, and it's never going to fulfill you ultimately. And I think life is too short to settle. And this other friend of mine who gave this question to this guy, she's now married, she's engaged, she's got kids, they're happy. She's found someone else who could give her everything. You know what I mean? Like, now she's got beautiful children, diamond ring, a home, you know, just the fairy tale, because she was prepared to walk away from Mr. Big, because Mr. Big is a huge, he's on a self-destruct pattern. Think of it this way, if this guy could have left an amazing woman like you, if he could have spent time with you and known your beauty and known your heart and your authenticity and the purity, I mean, all the things that make you amazing, because I know you're amazing if you're watching this channel, because you can only be amazing, and he still walked away, like, what on earth is he looking for? What is he realistically searching for? Which tells me that he is on a self-destruct pattern. He wants something that will destroy him. He wants something that is not wholesome. And if he keeps walking away from good things, then you've got to be careful about people that walk away from good things or mistreat good things, because they're destructive, and that destruction will only begin to manifest in your life. And even if you take them back, they will rob you of everything and give you just a bit, and then you become like a junkie. And it's pathetic when we see other people go through it. It's sad when we see other people go through it. But sometimes you've just got to reflect and think, you know what, I do have my Mr. Big. I was talking to a friend of mine. She said, you know, her ex-husband, he used to beat her, used to do all these things. But if he came back today and said, I want you back, she would give it a go. And I knew that that was a brokenness in her. And I knew that that was a deficit in her. And we all have, and it just reminded me that we all have the Mr. Big. And that inspired this video to say, look, let it go. Like, let Mr. Big go. Let him go find the models, and let him go find and marry and live the self-destruct pattern, and you find yours. Get your life, girl. You know what I'm saying? Get your life. Go get your life. We got to learn to walk away and just let it go. Don't get your ex back, okay? Don't. You know, don't. And if he wants to come back, then he's got to earn the right to be back in your life. And for me, I'm telling you, like, if my Mr. Big came back, like, he has to come with a ring. Like, he's got to come on one knee ready to beg. But that's it. That's my standard. It has to be on my terms. So that's from me to you. And that's to say, girls, love you, take care of you, and to hell with Mr. Big. Who needs him? We're going to get ourselves a new guy. Mwah. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.